So if you want an app installed, you usually get the APK for the app. So in order to build that, we usually need IDE, that is Android Studio. IDE basically stands for Integrated Development Environment. So if you download Android Studio, it comes with Kotlin. It comes with the Android SDK and everything. So you only have to install Android Studio, and after that, whatever you'll require, I'll be mentioning in a few minutes. If you know C++, you'll be fine. You just need to catch up on Kotlin. So just we'll be showing a few examples after this. So after doing that, you will come to know the basic feel for Kotlin. And after that, mainly it doesn't depend if you know Kotlin or not. I mean, you should know, but it doesn't matter if you're a master of Kotlin or something. You can start writing Android code itself. And it's not, also I forgot to mention, it's not necessary that you need to know all those data structure and algorithm that we learn. For software development, generally you just need to know what is used where to implement what. That's the base of this whole software development. Yep. So moving on to examples. If you go from playground to examples, you can see a list here. These are basically Kotlin provided examples of general tasks we'll be doing. I mean, in a program language that we'll be doing. So going to introduction. Is there any indentation? No, there isn't any need for indentation here, like Python, but it is recommended to follow the style guide. That is for example, if I am putting this println function here, it looks kind of off because you don't know which functions inside what. So it is recommended to just style it in a way you understand it, but indentation is not necessary for the code to compile. So yeah, and like Python, you don't need semicolons. So it's the same in Kotlin. So going through, this is the Hello World program we saw again. If you take on examples, and you can run this program by pressing this green play button. So if you run it, you get Hello World. So you can try the code, change the code here as well. So you can make this print, for example. It still prints the same message. My contact number. We'll be sharing methods for communication after the session. If you want to contact me, the best way would be through LinkedIn. So just search my name, and I'll be coming up with the same photo and under Kusai. So yeah, WhatsApp group is there. We'll be sharing after this session. Yeah. So after this session, I would be sharing all of these details. Yep. Going on, Kotlin functions. Yep. So as I said, we use the keyword fun to define a function in Kotlin. After the keyword fun, we just give the name of the function, and as you may have used parentheses and then the arguments for the function. And in Kotlin, there are types, unlike in Python. So if you are used to Python, there are types, data types in Kotlin. But unlike Java, the compiler can actually infer what type it is. So if you, for example, you are giving the string, the compiler already knows it's a string. You don't have to explicitly mention it's a string like this. So it's not like Java where you have to type a lot of things to code. You can easily start with Kotlin and write less amount of code. Yeah. So this function is pretty useless, but it basically prints a message which we send to this function using println. So if you're calling, this is the main function. If you're calling the same function with the keyword hello, then it should print hello first. See, and then you can have, as I said, there are many data types. So there is int, which is shown here. Int stands for integer. Variable declaration is needed, but there is another advanced feature in Kotlin which allows you to declare and define the variable separately. It's called a latent keyword. So you can give a latent in front of the keyword, which tells the compiler that you will give the value to the variable afterwards, basically. Uh, fun basically says this is a function. So fun main means main function. Fun print message is a function we wrote. So after fun, we give the name for the function, then the arguments for the function. Then if you want, you can give the return type, and then the curly braces, inside which is the body for the function. Yeah, coming to unit, unit is also a keyword in Kotlin. If you are from a Java background, you would have heard of something like void, even in C and C++. So it basically means nothing. So you are not returning anything from this function. It is not required. So if I remove this and I run this function as well, it still prints hello. So it is not required. Okay, if you don't know what a return type is, then as I said, you would have to go to new to programming. It basically means, as a function does, it does some tasks and it returns some data back. So the return type is the type of the data that's being returned back. So if, for example, if you are returning your name attached with your last name, then the return type would be a string. So your first name and the last name are strings. You are attaching them to make a bigger string, and you are returning a string. So the return type would be string. So that's the basics about data types. And in Kotlin, instead of writing multiple functions with multiple arguments, you can have something called as default arguments, which basically says this argument should take the value info by default, if not provided. Kotlin is case sensitive like Java. So if I make this W and smaller, and if I try to run this, it puts an error because it doesn't know there's a function with small w and capital W. Yep. So it is case sensitive. Yeah, and going on to variables. This is how you define a variable in Kotlin. Variable can be defined in two ways. One is using the var keyword, which is short for variable. You can remember it that way. And the next way is using val keyword, which is short for values. So you can remember that also that way. And the difference is a variable can be changed. The value can be changed afterwards after initializing. So if I give a initial, and if I change a then to my name, let's say, and I'm printing a again here, then what should be printed? It by logic, what should be printed is my name, as we are changing the value. So variable allows you to change values. So for example, I'm printing and I'm getting Sharon, so that's my name. But if I try to change a value, so this one's 1, so I'll try to change it to 2, 3. Yeah. So if I try to run this, it says a val cannot be reassigned. That means this way a value, once given a value, cannot be changed. So in Java, this is called as immutable and mutable properties. So if you're from a Java background, you would know what this is. If you're not, you just need to know that most probably you will be using values than variables. But if you want to change the value frequently, for example, if you are running a loop or something, then you would need to use variable. Yep. And here is an example for if else statement. So the same. This is usually the same as other languages, but in Python and all, there is no curly braces. So this syntax is you give if, and in the brackets you give some condition, whatever condition. Let's say my name is Sharat. That is a condition. You can give that like this: name equal Sharat. So equal is a equality operator. It basically checks if it's equal to that. So if I had a variable called name and I had my name there, and I could check it like this. And if this condition returns true, it runs this block first, the first block, and if the condition is false, it runs the else block first. So within these curly braces, you provide what you want to do. That is the if statement. And then coming on to nulls, this is the main problem which you encounter in software development. It is actually termed as the $1,000,000 problem, as this is the most probable error that you get while making apps, any kind of apps. It is called a null pointer exception. So if you want to know, basically, if you it refers to if you are expecting something, some value, but you got null, which means empty. Null is available in many languages, so most probably you will all be knowing. So what Kotlin does to prevent this error is you can have nullable types and non-nullable types. So nullable types means the variable can be null, but non-nullable types means the variable cannot be null. So here they give an example. We create a variable called never null. So this is given a string, and if you try to set this as null and run it, it drops an error. The error is null cannot be not null cannot be changed given value null. So this is a not null type if we simply give it string. But if we give it string and then a question mark, we are basically saying that we may or may not have a string. So we can give it value null there and it works. So if I comment out this code and this code and this code, yep, it runs. Okay. So there is no error here. That actually means that you can assign it null. So yeah, most probably you are not using nulls yourself. As I showed a demo earlier of a working app which gets data from the internet. Most probably what you are getting is invalid data from the internet. So you have to handle that in your app, or you could show wrong data, or even crash your app. So you would have experienced this where something that is not supposed to be there coming in the app. So that could be prevented this way. Most probably you are also going to use non-nullable types. So just giving a precautions here. And then going on to classes. This is where it gets interesting. So yeah, we define classes with the keyword class, and in Kotlin, what it does is it gives you super easy in syntax, so you could do all your tasks in a minimal way. So you don't have to type that much code. So this is the only code you need to create a class called customer. It doesn't have anything inside it, but that is the only code you need. So it doesn't need for, let's say in Java, if you're doing this in Java, it doesn't need empty constructor. It doesn't need a body. It doesn't need any getters or setters. So if you don't know what that is, that's fine. I'm not telling that as concepts. I'm just saying for people who know Java. So this class is basically a dummy class, but it's just there to show how less you could write with Kotlin. And then here is a good example which you could use. We are creating a class called contact. It has two values inside it. So a value called ID of type integer and a variable of type email of string. Variable called email of type string. So that's it. That's all you need for creating a class. You don't need any fancy getters or setters that you would have to do in Java. So one line classes are very nice for us, and it is very time saving. So if you are to make this class, the code which they have given is here we are making the object of the class contact. So we are creating a value and giving it a name, and in the class we give the value for the ID and the value for the image. Yeah, and then we are printing the values. This is the way we can access the value of the class. So if you give the object name is contact, and the ID is the field, so you can use contact.id to get the ID. So if I'm printing this, I should get 1, and yeah, that's the only thing I'm printing, so I should get 1. All right. Then coming on to conditionals. So if you are familiar with any programming language, you would know there is a conditional statement called switch. So in Kotlin, Kotlin doesn't have switches. It has a conditional called when, but don't be threatened by this because it's way better than a switch. I'm telling this because if you know about switches, you can have just do an equality check in switches. But in Kotlin, what you can do is you can check it with anything. So you can have an equality check. So in this example, what they're doing is the function is created here, and the function name is cases, and we are passing an object of type any. Any is one thing which I haven't explained. Any actually means it can be any data type. So yeah, most of the things in Kotlin is self-explanatory. So if you read it itself, you can understand what is the base logic. So any can be take type of string, it can take type of integer, it can take type of anything. Yeah, and then using the when expression, we are writing the when expression to show the object, and if the object is an integer, it prints 1. If the object is a string, it prints hello, string of type hello. And if the object is long, means if it's a long type. So if it's a long type, it prints long. Yeah, and there are many examples given here. So you can do these examples here. So this is mainly an Android focused program. So we are stopping the examples here. And there is also a thing called Kotlin Calls, which is given on the course here. These are basically questions which you answer yourself. So if you have done something like hacker rank or lead code or something, it's not that complex. It's just like in this example, it just says to return OK. You have to type OK here and you run it, and it gives test pass, test OK. That's it. So you can try out all these examples. I have posted the link there. Yeah. So coming to the Android part, as I said, you would need Android Studio. I've shared the link to download Android Studio as well. And this is the website. You can get the Android Studio for whichever operating system you have. So if you have Windows, you can get the Windows part. If you have Mac, you can get the Mac installer. If you have Linux, you can get the Linux installer. And below that are the minimum specifications for running Android Studio. So at least 4 GB RAM is recommended if you're using any, if you're using a laptop or something. So 4 GB RAM is recommended. If you have 8, that's good. Yeah, that is how you get Android Studio. And after installing, the screen you would get is most probably like this. When you open Android Studio, it basically shows, I mean, it says create a new project and all. So what you should do, if you could do it right now alongside me, if you have it, if you don't have it, it's fine. I'm just going to build the default app which comes with Android Studio. So if you click on create a new project, so you have to create a new project for each app you make. The project actually means an app. So you can choose from these templates. These are actually provided by Google. So if you want to have, let's say, a map based app, you could choose this template, or you could just go with the default empty project. This is what I recommend for beginners, as you may not understand the code which is generated by the template. So just click on empty activity. It means empty, and click on next. And then you should give the name for your app. So today we are just going to be showing the default app. So we are typing hello world, and then this is called a package name. It basically is a unique name which is used to identify your app. So it usually has com dot and your name dot the app name. It is called a reverse domain. So as you know, websites usually have website.com and all. It's the reverse of that. And then you just give where you want to save uh, the app and choose the language as Kotlin. Java is no longer support. It is supported, but it's no longer primary. And then comes the minimum SDK part. This basically is meant to choose which Android version is the minimum version you have to support in your app. So if you give, if you know Android versions, for example, let's say you give Android 9, that means that anyone with Android 8 won't be able to use your app. So it says below when you choose it, your app will run on approximately almost 40% of the devices. So my round of number is usually API 23 Android 6, a Marshmallow. That is where you usually don't have much complexity and you can support most of the apps. As you see, 85% of phones are supported. If you want, you can go lower. That's fine. For this example, I'm going to choose it there and I'm going to finish. So what Android Studio does here is it generates the default code for you, and it starts a thing called building. So what, as I said before, you publish apps using a format called APK. So that is basically the same as an exe if you've heard it on Windows. It is a bundled package of code which you have to run. So on Android, this is an app. So to build this APK, you can't just run a program and get an APK, right? You usually, when you're doing programming languages, you just run it on the terminal and then you see an output. But apps are different. You have buttons, you have text that you have to view and all. So APK is basically a compiled package for all of the Android code. Yeah. So this is done using a thing called Gradle on Android. That is basically the tool which is used by Android Studio to make these APKs and install it on your phone. Yeah. So after Android Studio opens, this is the what comes up on your screen. I'll be explaining all of this, but first of all, for doing any of app development, you would need a phone or an emulator. So to use a phone, all you have to do is plug the phone into your laptop or PC using the USB cable, and then go to your settings. Actually, let me try to show that to you here itself. Yeah, this is my phone, and let's say I open my settings, and then I go down to system and about phone. So here you would have a thing called build number. This is there on all phones. It may not be in this specific menu, but you can search for it. And when you click on build number 7 times, it says you are a developer. I'm already enabled this, so it just says you are a developer. What this does is it enables developer options on your phone. So you can just go to your developer options and enable this thing called as USB debugging. What USB debugging does is it allows Android Studio to connect to your phone, and whenever your app crashes or something, you can look it up on Android Studio on why the app crashed and all. So it allows debugging. Debugging is basically finding of errors. Yeah, that is the way the process you have to do. And in Android Studio, usually by this time, your device would have been here in the list here. This is my device, and if it's the first time, it asks for confirmation. You just have to press OK. That's it. And if you run, press on the run icon here, just beside to that, or you could press Shift F10. That's a keyword for run if you don't want to press that. It says Gradle build running. What this does is the process which I've said before. That is the process of building the APK. So all you have to do is wait for Gradle to finish and let it build the APK, and it automatically installs to your phone. So you just have to wait for it to do that. It may take a few minutes depending on the speed of your machine. So right now I'm managing this live session as well as Android Studio, so it may take some time. So let me go through some other parts while it builds, and I'll show you the default tab. All right. So mainly one thing I forgot to mention is the file types. So basically, if you are doing a Java program, you would save the file as .java. But in Kotlin, you will save the file as .kt. KT is basically short for Kotlin. In C, you would save it as .c. In Python, you would save it as .py. In C++, you would save it as .cpp. Yeah, it's the same. And yeah, I think our Hello World program has been installed on our phone. I have dark mode enabled on my phone, so it appears black, but you should appear white by default. It just says Hello World. That is the simple app that is provided by the MT Android Studio. And going through whatever code it generated, uh, let me zoom in a bit. Yeah. And going through each folders, this is the project directory where you can see all your files on the left side. And there is an option called Android here. It should be selected by default. Yeah, 4 GB is necessary. That is the minimum specification. It would be recommended to have 8. 4 is fine. Just close whatever else you are doing to have less lag, basically. Uh, Under 4 GB, you could. I have heard some people using under 4 GB devices, but yeah, it is not recommended. I connected my phone. How can I see screen on monitor? Okay, what I'm doing is for the presentation, I have another software to display it. If you want, you could look it up. It's on GitHub, so if you want, you could look it up. But basically, you just have to. Usually, you use your phone only. If you have to use see it on your monitor, then you just try out that app. I sent the name on chat. If you don't want to use your phone and if you want to use your emulator, uh, in the same drop down as I showed my phone before, you go to Avd Manager. There's this thing called as Avd Manager. It basically stands for Android Virtual Device Manager, where you could install emulators. Emulator basically emulates a phone on your PC. This is why they mainly recommend 4 GB RAM. So if you have less than 4 GB, don't install emulators. Try it on your physical phone. Emulator is a more heavier resource. So you click on create virtual device and you can choose whichever device you want. So you could choose a Pixel phone with this Android version. So you could try out a Pixel phone with the latest Android version and all. That's another way to make it appear on the monitor. Yeah, going through the file structure, in under the Android dropdown, choose Android if it's not open. Yeah, BlueStacks is also another Android emulator, but it doesn't have integration with Android Studio. So if you want, you could try out
Sharath, could you unmute
Yep,
your?
yep, got it. My
Yeah,
internet
you're
just
on.
cut out for a second. Sorry for that.
Good.
Everything's all right now, right? The screen and my voice, everything's clear, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we can see you.
yeah, got it. Thank you. Yeah, going on with the file structure. Uh, Here we have a thing called manifest. On the left, if you can see it, and inside that folder we have something called as Androidmanifest.xml. Uh, this is basically a file which gives information to your phone about what the app is. So it gives the icon for the app. It mentions the name for the app. It mentions like where the app should start from and all. So all these details are given in the manifest file. You don't need to understand all of this code right now. This is generated by Android Studio itself. So most of the times you would just need to change some values here and there only. Half of the work is done by Android Studio. As you go on, you would understand all of the code. Uh, and then the main folder is under Java. It says Java, but we are using Kotlin. Don't worry about that. The default generated folder name is Java. And inside that, we have the name which we provided before, the package name that is generated, that we provided while we are creating the project. And say that we have this thing called as main activity. Main activity is basically the hello world screen which we saw before. An activity is a short, it is the component which generates the whole screen which you see in your app. So yeah, the main activity has a layout which holds the view which we saw before. If I could show it again, yeah, this is the hello world app we saw before. So this whole thing is an activity, and we the text hello world is the view which we are showing. Uh, yeah, so this is the generated code for the activity. It's called main activity, and in Android manifest, it is the first activity that gets started. So that is this application. And if you can see, go on to the left here, there is a folder called res. Res basically is for resources. So under resources, we have a layout folder, a drawable folder, mipmap values, 4 folders. Drawable is for images, icons, and all. So if you want to use images, icons, and all. And layout basically has the layout, which is the view which we saw. So for example, if it would load, yeah, this is the hello world screen we saw. So this is where you design your app. So you could drag and drop components here. So I could drag and drop a button here, and it has a button right now here. So you could align this to the top. You could do all sorts of design stuff here. All this process would be mentioned on detail on the course. So you just have to follow that course, and you'll come to know bit by bit. Right now, I'm just showing a demo for today. Uh, yeah, so I added a button, and this is the hello world text we saw. So you could change this text here on the right. If you select that text, you could change it to, let's say, my name or your name. So if I change it, it automatically changes, and you could try and test and see. Yeah. For Java, I have installed Java Development Kit and Java Eclipse. What should I install for Kotlin? Yeah. For Java, if you have installed JDK and Eclipse, that is not needed for Kotlin. The only thing you would have to install is Android Studio. It comes with all the Kotlin code, compiler, development kit, everything. So that is the main thing you would need. And if you are using emulators, as I said, you would have to download the ROM for the emulator. That is the code it needs to emulate a phone. So if you're using a physical device, you don't even need to do that. Only Android Studio is fine. It comes with Kotlin. It comes with everything I'm saying right now, and it helps you in developing apps. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. Yeah. So this is the layout for the app, and in mipmap we actually have the icons for the app. That is a square icon and a round icon. These are the default icons. that is in the mipmap folder, and in values we can specify what all colors we are using, what all strings we are using. For let's say my app name is stored here, and what all themes I'm using. Themes is for the dark mode, light mode, every theme we are showing. What is the blue screen layout window along with white screen? Oh yeah. So in layout, you could view it in two different ways. You can have design plus blueprint way. That is what you mentioned right now. The blueprint is basically it shows the structure of where everything is. So it is not needed to have it in that way. It is just for your what do you say, ease of use. So you can change that here on the top where I'm selecting right now, and just put it on design, and you will only see the design part. Uh, that is it for layout part. And on the left, you can see all the types of widgets we can have. So under text, we can have different types of text types. Under button, we can have different button types under, and many more. Yeah, as my Android Studio starts to lag. Yeah, forget that. I showed you the basic structure for that is generated there. So that is the basics for what everything is, what everything holds and all. So if you go to the course which I have shared before, and you press on start course under prior program experience, and inside unit 1 itself, there are this much 5 badges you could earn. So under build your first app is basically what I did right now. It gives instructions for installing Android Studio. So you could just take this code lab if you have any more queries, or you could just contact me on about Android Studio, and you could build the first app, which is the Hello World app, which I showed before. So basically, this unit is done for all of you. I mean, you have to go through it, but I explained this unit for all of you. Just take this quiz and you will earn this badge. And just go through the next parts throughout this week. This is mainly you should do this by yourself, most of it. But we will be making apps live. So the implementation part of whatever you learn here would be done on this live sessions. And if you have any doubts, you could just come to the WhatsApp group, or the link which will be provided by the end of this session, or just directly contact me and ask if you have any doubts. So yeah, this basically goes through build an interactive app. This just builds a dice roller app, which we could try out in the next session. So it basically rolls a dice when you press a button. That's a simple app. So you could build that. And under layouts, it basically shows whatever layouts we did before. And navigation is basically moving from one screen to another screen. So how the logic is for that, all these sessions are given here. And basically, they have detailed steps as well. So you shouldn't have any problem. If you do, as I said, contact me. So when you press on go to Code Lab is another platform which they use to provide you steps. So you could just they give you steps. You just have to press next. They give you screenshots. They give you what to do, where the file is, everything. They give it to you. If you don't understand any part of this, just as I said, contact. Yeah, that's the basics of what you have to do. And for any future code that we will be build of any apps or anything we will be building, we'll be posting this on the DSC Kusat GitHub repository, of the link of which I'll be sharing. So yeah, you could find the code for whatever we'll be building. So we have the dice roller code here. I've already pushed it. So you could view the dice roller code here. So yeah, you could go to the activity file and look at the logic, whatever I did, and you could try to understand this. They already give all of this to you, but if you want a final implemented project, you could just view that there. Yeah, that is the basics for Android. And yeah, so just try it out. Try to install Android Studio, try to run the Hello World app on your phone. Try to just drag and drop some buttons and try to get to know how to change symbol text and all of this by going through the course. And in the next sessions, we will be looking over actual apps and the base concepts. So for Android especially. So yeah, for next week you could try completing the Kotlin coins to get used to Kotlin code. So as I showed before, you could just try solving those problems off screen, and you could try running the app as I said. The duration for this course, yeah, coming to that, the actual deadline for this end of this course by which you have to complete is January 25th. But most of the colleges have exams before that, I mean during that time. So it would be better if you complete beforehand. It's fine. It's mainly quizzes, and you get badges like this. So you just sign in and you claim your badge. So we just need all the badges, the screenshot of all the badges and all. How long did you take to make apps like Foodflix? Yeah. So the Foodflix app which I made, that is a very simple app which I did for a course, free course, and link manager and all that I did, I think, in 1 week. Yeah. So I'm not that like old into Android. I only started after Corona lockdown came into place mainly. So after that, I started learning, looking into Android, and by this time, I've reached here. So it is not that tough, and everyone's in lockdown right now. So it is a good opportunity, and this this event basically allows you to learn and to make apps while you could have someone to ask doubts and all. So yeah, I highly recommend you all try to build your own app, the basic apps first. Uh, yeah, so if I am to give an example, the joke app which I showed at first, I made that yesterday in 2 hours. So it's not that tough. Once you get to know the basics, you could easily get to where you want. Yeah, that is the basics which we'll be covering today. That's all. Thank you for your time. If you have any further questions, put it in the chat box. I'm viewing it right now. So, and we have a WhatsApp group as well, the link of which I am sharing right now. So you could join this WhatsApp group for further updates on sessions, and further we'll post the timings and how you can RSVP. And if you have any doubts, you could ask it there. Uh, please don't, please try not to call me and all during midnight and all. Yeah, but just I'll send a message and I'll respond. Yeah, that's all. If you have any further questions, or we'll wind up.
So, Sharath, something to add.
Yeah.
So if you are joining the group, try to ask all the questions in the group, because like if you ask him, like he'll be flooded with messages. So there will be someone who have already done that, and they'll be able to help you. And through interaction, there will be a like communication between you two, and you can collaborate later or something. So if you guys talk to each other and help each other, it will be more simple, and you can learn more from that group.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you post the answers to whichever error which you found in the group, everyone else could also know what the error is, and everyone else could also solve the problem without directly coming to someone else. Yeah. So yeah, just join the group and try not to flood it with messages, as I said. Yeah. Is there any other questions? Thank you all actually for coming. This was my first session. Yeah. So if there's no other questions, we'll wind up. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I might
I
have
am
shown.
from SOE as well, Abhinav.
Uh, okay, if you have any more doubts, you can directly ask in the group, and he will try to answer as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you all. Yep, see you all then. See you all in the WhatsApp group and on the upcoming sessions. Thank you for joining, and have a great night, all of you. And stay safe.